We have heard lots of rumors and information that the fact that the White Lotus was set in Koh Samui, Thailand makes people very interested in vacationing now. Tourist information requests are up to Koh Samui. And so I rewatched episode 1 of the White Lotus in an effort to kind of think about what impressions the show might give that could be clarified. I am Jacqueline. The channel is The Mire the Merrier. Steve is usually sitting over here. We are just having a hard time sitting down and getting this video out, so I thought I would do it by myself and see if I could get the information out before it becomes too stale. The channel is The Mire the Merrier, and we are a family of 5 that left the United States for Koh Samui, Thailand in August of 2023. Our children are here with us, and they go to an international school here on Koh Samui. Please consider subscribing to the channel so that you can take a look at the things that we talk about. A lot of them have to do with our travels in Southeast Asia, and some of them have to do with being expats here in Thailand or specifically on Samui. So in the beginning, again, just as I looked through, I'm going to just walk through things that I noticed in the course of the way the show ran. In the beginning, you see this start off with all of these monkeys that are kind of running around in the forest, and it's this beautiful jungle, and there are a lot of wild monkeys. What I would say is I have never seen a wild monkey on Koh Samui, or Steve has seen a monkey running around kind of on the way to take the kids to school, but he has only seen one time. We do see monkeys that are used, we understand, to harvest coconuts. So when you see in the show a lot of people drinking what are called young coconuts, is basically a coconut and it's the top is busted out and a straw is put in it, and you just drink the coconut water from there. Those are available all over the island. Not every place, but at a lot of the just roadside restaurants and a lot of the posh restaurants you can get something like that. Those coconuts are sometimes harvested by monkeys that are basically employed by someone who has a truck. They drive up this empty truck up the hill, the monkeys harvest the coconuts, and they ride back down the hill and sell the coconuts. So those we do see, and again, Steve did see a wild monkey just the one time. So in the very beginning of episode 1, you see the 2 main Thai characters, Mook and Gaitak, driving in on their motorcycles. And what I would say is that is absolutely something that happens all of the time. A lot of people ride motorcycles here. I would say the majority of Thai people that I know use motorcycles instead of cars. And I would also say that it is a little weird that they're both wearing helmets, because I don't know that is a really common thing to see is helmet wearing. There's a lot. It is the law to wear a helmet in Thailand on Koh Samui, but most people kind of don't. There are a lot of dangerous accidents that occur on motorcycles. Tourists, sometimes the locals, will end up getting in accidents. And one thing that Steve wanted me to mention is that if you do not have a motorcycle license in your home country, when you come and rent a motorcycle in Koh Samui or anywhere in Thailand, if you do get in an accident, even if you have health insurance, your health insurance will not cover the costs, the medical costs of the accident, if you do not have a motorcycle endorsement on your home country's driving license. So keep that in mind if you intend on renting a motorbike in Koh Samui or any place in Thailand. If you do not know how to ride a motorbike or a scooter, then this is not the place to learn. Just a healthy warning. You might think, oh, well, how hard can it be? It's like riding a bike. And we have heard, and I don't know where we've gotten this information, but we have heard that about 600 people die per year in motorcycle accidents on Koh Samui. Tourists die in motorcycle accidents on Koh Samui. So just keep that in mind about the helmets and the health insurance. And there are other ways to get around. There's Grab, there's InDrive, there are tourist vans, there are songtas, which are the little red trucks you can walk. Lots of other alternatives other than we have a car, so we rent a car. That's something that you can also do. All right. In the other thing about the broken down motorbike is that also happens all of the time. And what I would say about that is sometimes we've seen, and it's very cool, and we've only seen Thai people are able to do this really successfully, to our knowledge. But sometimes a broken down motorbike will be pushed by a running motorbike behind it, the driver of the running motorbike and his foot on the peg of the broken down or out of gas motorbike, just pushing it along to either the next gas station or the next repair stop or something like that. The scooters, motorbikes here that people rent are typically, Steve said, about 125cc motorbikes. All right, and then the other thing about riding the scooters, motorbikes is we do see a lot of tourists, men just driving with their swim trunks on, women maybe just in a bikini, driving on a motorbike, riding on a motorbike. And what I would say is keep in mind when you're riding on a motorbike, it's beautiful here and you're on vacation and everything's wonderful. If the only thing that you're wearing is a swim costume, when you dump your bike, even if it's just a little dump, you may end up having some pretty nasty road rash. So consider wearing something that will protect your skin a little bit. All right, wellness retreats. The folks that are here going to the White Lotus, it is a wellness retreat on the island. And yes, there are all kinds of wonderful wellness retreats on Koh Samui. I can't necessarily suggest one. We are not wellness retreat people, but there are a lot of folks that are interested in wellness here, and you can absolutely find some place to stay that's right up that alley. Then, when the people arrive, the guests arrive at the White Lotus. It's this beautiful, old, kind of historic-looking Thai boat, the dark wood, and they're coming up to the White Lotus, and they're all getting off kind of on the beach. And I think that would be an amazing way to arrive in Koh Samui. And if you can do it, I would be curious. So let me know in the comments if you know how to get here on one of those beautiful old boats. There are a lot of ways to get to Koh Samui. Beautiful old boats are not the ones that I've used. The most common way, especially for visitors who are on vacation, are folks flying in from whatever location, typically on Bangkok Airways. If you're coming from Singapore, you can fly Scoot. And you're flying right into Koh Samui Airport, especially if you don't have a lot of time. That's an excellent way of doing it, but it is a beautiful airport, if you can imagine, and a really cool way to fly in and out of Samui. A way to save some money is to fly into Surat Thani or even Phuket and take a bus and then the ferry over onto Koh Samui. We've done the Surat Thani route. We're going to try the Phuket route. I'm going to try that on a trip that I'm going to be taking here in April. So we'll see how that goes. But it's a much more affordable way to get on the island. It does take a lot longer though. And then you have the option of coming on the Seahorse Ferry, which we've done a couple of times. That was really cool, but very cool ways to get to Samui, and some more affordable than others. You can also take the train down from Bangkok or up from the south and then take the ferry over. That's another option of getting to Samui. All right, so there is a Buddhist monastery as part of the storyline. And we are actually a little surprised at the fact that we do not see very many monks here on Samui. You know, when we're in Bangkok, we see a lot more monks, and it's, again, a little surprising that we don't see very many here. So we thought, are there even monks on Samui? And the answer to that is there is a meditation retreat on the southeast side of the island, and I believe there are monks there, but again, this is just not something that we've seen. So if you're expecting to see a lot of actual monks, you're probably not going to see that. All right. So then the next thing that I think might be kind of interesting is this family that's from the southeast part of the United States arrives. They have the two parents and the 3 adult children. They are shocked to find out there is no Wi-Fi in their villa. And I suppose there are villas where you might not have Wi-Fi. And I will tell you that that would probably be the only place you're not going to find Wi-Fi here on Koh Samui. Any restaurant you sit down on, you're going to find Wi-Fi. If you go and get your nails done, they'll probably have Wi-Fi. Every place has Wi-Fi. A lot of people just use it. It's something that's very common here And but if you don't, like, if you want to have something available when you're not at a restaurant or your villa or hotel, you can get a data package here on Samui for about $10 for a month. So it's really, really affordable. It's not something they have to pay a lot for. In America, so if you're coming from America and you want to get an eSIM, what I would suggest to do is to make absolutely certain that you have an unlocked phone. Now, I was told that my phone was unlocked. It wasn't. And when Steve first decided to try to use eSIM, his phone was on a purchasing contract with AT&T, and so they would not unlock his phone until he paid off his phone. So we ended up having to do that in order to use the eSIM. So just make sure to ask a lot of questions, and probably make sure your phone is unlocked, and quite possibly make sure it's 100% paid for before you try to use an eSIM. Otherwise, you might get here and not be able to use one at all. We use something called Airlo to find eSIMs for different countries that we visit. You're better off to kind of right before you go, find one, download it, and then when you arrive at the airport in that other country, then you can just go ahead and, I guess I don't know if it's activated before, or this is where I kind of wish Steve was here, but you definitely want to, download it and choose it before you leave while you have internet in your home country or whatever country you happen to be in. All right, so there is this couple. His name is Rick and her name is Chelsea, but you may not know that in the first episode. He's older, she's a Brit, and they're sitting kind of in a little garden by their villa, and she's noticing how beautiful it is, and I believe they're drinking a beer. But the bottles that they have in their hand are called Balin. And I looked it up because I have never heard of any kind of a drink called Balin. I could not find it on the internet, and I will tell you that there is absolutely beer here in Koh Samui. There's beer all over Thailand. You can get sometimes Budweiser, Heineken sometimes, Carlsberg, as far as imported beer. When you're here, when I'm here, I drink Chang beer, and Steve will also drink Singha and Leo. But I prefer the Chang. I think it has kind of a less bitter taste. So the local beers are good. They're pretty cheap. I mean, you might go to a restaurant and get a beer at a restaurant for 60 baht, which is, a little under $2 at a restaurant. You will see that these people who are at the resort, who are Thai, will often speak English very well. And I will tell you that people here on Samui, Thai people, do speak English very well. We find that we can get along with English without really speaking Thai, which is a little bit of a disappointment because Steve had made a lot of effort to learn Thai before we got here, and his Thai has actually gotten worse. So we hear a lot of people that are not native English speakers speaking English to Thai people, and they get along perfectly well. Now, if there's something where you need to be very specific, rather than just pointing at something on the menu or saying hello, hello for a woman, sawadee ka. For a man, sawadee kap. So the men's greetings and thank yous or anything end in more of a cup, and the woman's end in more of a ka, kind of a softer sound. But if you want to learn Thai, you certainly can do that. You can also just download Google Translate. And for the things that are more specific, where you really need some help, you can type in your message to Google Translate, or you can speak your message into Google Translate and just show it to the other person. So frequently when people realize that they're having a communication issue, one person will pull up their phone and the other person will just pull out their phone, because it's easier if you're talking into your phone and they're replying into theirs. So just kind of keep that in mind. Google Translate, download it before you leave. I'm guessing for any country, but definitely for here in Thailand. Even though, again, a lot of people do speak English, you can get by very well on English. And then, so there is the part where the woman who had worked at the Maui White Lotus is walking to her villa, and this giant lizard runs out in front of her and frightens her. Yes. So monkeys, I don't see in the wild. Monitor lizards, yes, we absolutely do see in the wild. So bigger, than that one, but never really honestly that close to them. So we might see them kind of in a drainage ditch or, alongside the road in a more wet area, but we have never really seen any on our path. So yes, definitely monitor lizards here on Samui, and some big ones. So when she and the gentleman who is her host, who works at the hotel, kind of walk past where the lizard was, and they walk up to this beautiful spirit house, and they say a bit of a prayer. You will see spirit houses all over Samui and all over Thailand, very common. And they can be very beautiful. There's a lookout here that's on the ring road, and people will honk. And at first we thought maybe we were cutting somebody off in a car, and it turns out that we understand that for whatever reason, people are honking at that spirit house when they go by this lookout overlook on the ring road. So we've even seen places where you can buy your own spirit house. All right, so very subtly, a little over halfway through this first episode, there's this beautiful winding road. And if you look closely on the left side, there is a concrete ditch that is right next to the road. That concrete ditch simply is a way for water to run down the mountain when it's rainy season, or even, there are heavy rains and there's a lot of hillsides here. So it's a good way for water to run off the road and down the mountain. For places, we do see some erosion that happens and dirt coming down the hills. It's obviously preferable to have something concrete like that. And then there's another quick view of this beautiful boat that's lit with green lights. And we were informed very early that these boats are squid fishing boats. And so I'm going to throw out a picture. Actually, the thumbnail to this video is a picture that I took of one of the squid boats many of the squid boats that we see when we look out our window during that season. And typically we see them more during November and December, closer to the shore. This time of year, we're seeing them a lot further out. So, but yeah, it's really beautiful. And that is a squid boat with the green lights. Not sure why the lights are green, but it definitely is something that happens. Okay, moving on. So you'll note that there is the southern businessman is making a phone call, and he says, I don't know what time it is, I'm in Thailand. And I would say Thailand is an excellent place to visit if you want to stay in contact with people back home and be able to talk to them multiple times a day. Because during the summer months, the time change, or the time difference specifically, between Thailand and the central United States in the summer months is exactly 12 hours off. And in the winter months, the time change between Thailand and the Eastern time zone is exactly 12 hours off. So when it's 7 o'clock here, it's 7 o'clock there. If I want to call a friend of mine who lives in the central time zone and it's 8 o'clock here in the summer, then it's going to be, if it's 8 a.m. here, it's 8 p.m. the night before there. So super easy. You can call people in the morning or at night. Chloe's the model, right? The statuesque model in the White Lotus. And she meets the Brit, and she talks about having been in Koh Samui for a year. There are many ways to get visas in Koh Samui. They can be challenging. It never seems to work out easily the first time. If you have a lot of money, there are more options for visas, and you have lots of choices. So being in Thailand for a year, super easy, but you are going to need to get some kind of visa in order to do that. So she also mentions, though, and this is, I don't know where they came up with this, and no one else seems to know either. So she mentions to Chelsea, I think it's Chelsea, that the locals call people LBHs, losers back home. So I don't know that I'm a local. I consider myself an expat, but I live locally. I have never heard anybody call anybody an LBH. There is a term, which is either Farang or Falang. Some people pronounce it differently, and it's basically just a Westerner. Steve says he doesn't think it has any kind of a negative connotation. I thought at first that it did, but I guess it really doesn't. All right. So the mother of the 3 young adults has jet lag, and she is self-medicating. And so she is taking all this medicine in order to try to stay awake or put herself to sleep and all these sorts of things. We have found that when we arrive in Bangkok, we never fly directly into Koh Samui from America. It's kind of hard to get an international flight without making a couple stops. We typically end up landing in Bangkok around midnight, and then you go through immigration and customs. And then maybe you get to your hotel, and you're tired. You've been traveling for 24 hours. You might be a little bit loopy, but it's frequently pretty easy to get to sleep that time of the day because it's midnight and you're kind of tired from the travel. If you get in the morning, I think it's a little bit more challenging. But if you have a hard time falling asleep, or if the kids, and I know not everybody likes to take melatonin, but a little tiny 1 milligram of melatonin might put you to sleep until you wake up in the morning. You might sleep in a little bit later, but you get out in the sun and start moving around. This is basically the rundown of all of the things that I thought might be piquing someone's interest or they might have questions about in that first episode. Again, I'll try to do something on each episode, but hopefully you think this is helpful. If you wonder about the things that I've said, or there are things that you wonder about that I didn't mention, please put something in the comments, ask questions. We're happy to answer those. And if you think we're completely wrong, then tell us that. If you have a different experience, that's great. We would like to hear it, and so would other people. If you are not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to the channel. Again, we're looking at trying to bring good information about our experiences here in Thailand and in Southeast Asia. Thanks a lot, and I'll be back with episode 2 shortly.